Welcome, gamers, to this week's episode of Last Call Gaming. We're on episode number 78. My name is Craig Perales, and the man joining me from his reluctant recovery, Ranger Montemare.
You think someday we'll be on episode 805?
Oh, I would like to think so. But Andrew, you're back in the chair. Missed you last week. You feeling better? You look better?
Yeah.
Sounding healthy.
Unfortunately, I got sick. I actually didn't have COVID, thankfully, but I had pneumonia somehow. Got it some way. I was actually in the hospital for a little bit, but perfectly better now. So nice. It actually wasn't too bad, except for the first day was like hell. But
yeah, I can't imagine that pneumonia's anything to be pleasant with.
I'll tell you the worst part of it was like the first day when I was actually sick, and then the following week where I tried to beat Assassin's Creed Valhalla because that game
and it made you sick to your stomach.
Yeah,
I told you, man, Valhalla wasn't going to be what you thought it was going to be.
Dude, talk about an overhyped fucking game. Exactly. Now I understand. I think it was like 2 weeks ago when someone asked, "What's a game that you think was like overhyped or something?"
And
you said AC Valhalla. I was like, it can't be that bad. But now that I fucking play, I'm like, God.
Well, that's much as bad, but yeah, now you know that the slog of that game. It's a time consumer that's not
boring as fuck.
At the end. So. Moving into, guys, what we like to drink around here is always an alcohol beverage, and this was recommended by John Tavitz, and he said he wanted us to check out the 805. This is
I love 805.
It's done by Firestone Walker 805, alcohol 4.7%. The category falls under a blonde ale, and it is made by the Firestone Walker Brewing Company. I remember we used to drink this all the time, like at B-Dubs, because now I fucking hate going to Buffalo Wild Wings. But it used to be on tap all the time. I know Danny was drinking these like for a while, so this is like a really light, refreshing beer. It has been a while since I've had an 805. I remember them tasting differently. I remember them having like more of a bite to it. But like this is like right when I was drinking it earlier with Andrew, I'm like, oh yeah, this is going down like a nice man beer.
I think the only time I feel like it ever has a bite is when you're drinking it out of like a can. But normally, like bottle-wise, I've always felt like it was fine. And I think we're super like partial to like light cut like blonde ales and stuff like that. If anyone, what kind of beer do you? That's the only thing I said. Blonde ale. I don't know. I can't distinguish beers, but usually more often than not, when I like a beer and I like look it up for something, especially if it's some like weird fucking thing, it's like a blonde ale.
Yeah. So this I don't mind. So if you got something, drink along with us at home. But yeah, 805, solid recommendation. So before we get started, guys, plugs as always, but this time, if you guys want to check us out, go to Linktree. That's the new thing we got set up. If you're familiar with it, awesome. If you're not, what it does, it's an app that pretty much can hold all of your social medias. Any link you have on it, it'll take you straight to it. So if you go to our Linktree, which is kind of a weird one, it's linktr.ee.com. That's how they do their Linktree URL. /LastCall Productions. That'll take you to our Facebook or YouTube and all that stuff moving forward. So that's just an easy way to get to us without me having to rattle off 1,000 things like always. So.
Yeah, so that link will be in there. Again, super easy. It's just 4 things, and you click on whatever one. It'll take you right to Instagram, Facebook, whatever. But also, too, more importantly, make sure you subscribe.
Ba-ding! You should see that big old fat subscribe button pop up. Be a subscriber and help the channel grow because we super duper appreciate it. So let's move into the first story. The Medium just came out. This game was supposed to be played by the two of us. Andrew's played a teeny little bit of it. I had more time to dive into it. This is the new psychological horror thriller game that's out on Xbox, developed by the Bluebird team, which is actually a Polish team, who are the creators of games such as Layers of Fear from 2016, The Observer 2017, and the most recently done Blair Witch 2019. So just before we even dive into the game, I like that they're not a development team that sits on their hands and makes a game every 4 years or 5 years or 6 years. They've made a game almost back to back. They've made 4 games in the last 4 years.
I actually ended up dropping Blair Witch, and but
for different reasons.
I felt like I just kept getting fucking lost and didn't know where the fuck I was going. I'm actually enjoying this a lot more, and it definitely gives you that like survival horror classic feel because like the camera angles kind of. I wouldn't say it's almost. I guess it's fixed. I mean, that's definitely what it is. But I don't think it's as like Resident Evil where like it's one whole fucking room and it's like just the one spot. Yeah, it's not like tank controls or anything like that. So again, I've only played a little bit of it. I'm actually the person who's usually, again, into horror games, play all of them, usually every major one that comes out. But we're going to let Craig tell me all about it because he's played it a lot more.
I was hoping to piggyback off of Andrew. So just to clarify, the game apparently isn't that long. And I guess this team's not known for making incredibly long games. And as Andrew kind of alluded to me, because he plays the horror games a lot longer, horror games really aren't designed to be much longer than 10 to 15, I would say, would be max. And this game tends to fall right into that 8-hour sweet spot. It's got collectibles. It's got things to explore in the game. So you're playing Marianne, and she's obviously a medium who has a link to this spirit world. Now, what's really kind of cool with it, and you've obviously seen it in the trailers, is that they are capitalizing on the split screen duality of the gameplay that is allowing you to traverse the world, whether that be the material world or the spirit world, and kind of solve these puzzles as you go on and find different clues. So to me, looking at this game, it is kind of this horror game, but at the same time, you're almost, I feel kind of like, I don't want to say like a detective, but you're kind of like solving the game. Like you're solving these clues as you get from place to place. You run into a ghost pretty early on. The cool concept is that as you kind of getting these powers when you're as the medium part of it, when you're in the spiritual world, of gaining things like a spiritual blast that you can do to charge electricity. You can get like a shield as you walk through hallways that are filled with like bugs. And then there's actually a certain point in the time where you can split apart from both bodies and just be the person in the spirit world. Because most of the game so far, I'm about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours in, you play, in the material world. And when certain things trigger it, that's when you get the split screen. And that's when you can kind of multifunction with the two of them. But there are aspects of it that make you play just I'm going to just call it the white-haired chick. When you just play the white-haired version of her and you're actually digging around looking for certain kind of clues. Because it's nothing, they didn't make anything brand new here, right? The whole concept of, the mirror verse kind of thing has been done before, but they're clearly the guys that have taking this up in a long time. You don't really see this mechanic anymore, and I think the reason they're trying to showcase is because this is Xbox's first big exclusive game, and it's right out the gate. I mean, January is generally speaking is a kind of a lull month, a dead month where it's usually backlog season. So the fact that they've got a nice big game come out and it's a game that's on the Game Pass, I've had a lot of fun with it so far. And Andrew can speak to this because he definitely has seen and played. The aesthetics of this game are definitely creepy. And there's already been parts of this thing where I'm like, this is really spooky to look at. I just did the first main boss. I guess you would call it survival, because I wouldn't call it a fight. The Maw. That is actually really creepy stuff. The sound in this game is really, it really fits that aesthetic. My only real gripe is that it is kind of slow. Like, you get a run button, but there's certain parts where you just can't run. And you just got to do this walk. And I feel like it's consistently going from walk and interact with something to cutscene. To walk and interact with something and then a cutscene. So, I don't know. Is that something that's natural in these horror type games like this? Because I don't remember that really happening in Blair Witch. But if you compare the two, side by side, pun intended, they're really just different games. So this is my first kind of, dive into a game like this, and it just feels like it's really stop and go, even though I am really liking the story, and I do like where it's going.
I think sometimes it can be. I mean, there's tons of other games where, it does limit you, especially with what you can do before, a cutscene comes up. It's almost like that classic, another classic horror trope usually, or any game really, where you come to a room and it's full of ammo and all kinds of shit and everything like that, and you're like, oh, okay, well, I know a boss or something like that's coming up. So it's just one of those things sometimes. This game does seem like, in a way, that it is kind of like that true survival horror idea, is in you're not really, from what I've seen, you're not really fighting anything too much. It's not like Resident Evil, you're not overpowered, and that's kind of what it's really going for, to set that aesthetic. It's better to fight or flight, and you're mostly just doing the flighting part. And actually I think that's kind of what I appreciate a lot more, because that definitely makes something a lot scarier. When I was watching him play part of it and just watching him do the boss part where you're kind of just ducking and dodging and stuff like that. I was on the edge of my seat watching him go through the hallways, because if you make a wrong turn, you're just dead. And I was like, God dang, dude, it definitely got me. I think it looks pretty great.
Yeah, the cool thing is, I mean, you do got to think outside the box. There's definitely parts where you've got to walk around as the two of them, and one of the ledges will fall in one person's world, and you got to switch to the other one to keep going. And you've got a limited time clock on how long you can be outside of the body, and one person will find like a knife that you can use in the other world. And so like one person had to go pick up a flower that you bring back to the other side and put it into the plant. So I do like that. It is extremely dark looking. One thing though that Andrew and I were kind of talking about, that if you, and a lot of people are kind of saying this too, is this is kind of built to be on the Game Pass for a lot of day one eyes, because really the price point I think is what's people are going, you know, who's buying this day one at full price. That's an 8-hour game, and that's kind of
$50. Yeah,
he said it was 50, and that's kind of where I'm nervous to where, you know, this is why the Game Pass exists and it's perfect on there, but I hope that
games aren't just tailor made. Like, okay, this is a Game Pass, so we can skimp whatever.
Yeah, but that again though, look at the other games that these guys made. Like Blair Witch was straight to the Game Pass, so maybe this is right in their wheelhouse. They make these kind of smaller games and put them straight on there. As far as going though, yeah, for $50, because I was looking it up, and Blair Witch, I don't know if it launched at 30, but right now since December 2019. It's been $30, and I don't know, maybe this game would be at a better price point for anyone that didn't have Game Pass to be $30, but you can clearly tell it's a bigger budget than what Blair Witch offered.
It depends on who you talk to, really.
Yeah, I would say if you have the Game Pass, this is a definitely check out game. It's something you can knock out in the weekend. It's been really cool. I like the storyline. The storylines, you know, you go in there, you're already talking to some ghosts, you're checking out this hotel, you're kind of piecing together what's going on. Like Andrew was saying, you know, there's no real fighting in it. At least I haven't gathered any weapons of any kind to do anything. It is just kind of survive it. So if you do not have the Game Pass, you know, maybe wait until it is, because you know it's going to be one of those games that hit $30 very soon. But if you got the Game Pass, check it out, because a lot of people are just kind of saying, you know, this game's okay, it's not blowing us away, it's not da-da-da-da-da, but I'm like, I don't think it was really designed to, you know, it is the first game to be exclusive on the next gen consoles, and maybe, I guess, graphically or you know, they were expecting more, but for my, you know, bang for my buck, I'm getting everything I wanted out of it. So, and I don't really, this game isn't for me, you know what I mean? And I'm liking it a lot. So I would say if you've got the Game Pass, which I think most people that are watching this or that are Xbox owners have, then I would definitely say check out the medium, because it is a game you could beat in over the weekend, you know, 8 hours or so plus collectibles. Check it out.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of Game Pass, if you want to go into our next one next, I think that's kind of all there really is for that. Again, get out there and try it out for yourself. We don't want to give too much away, so.
Yeah, so that perfectly leads into the next story that we had, that the Xbox Live Gold conundrum, as I like to call it. So if you guys aren't familiar, you know, maybe you are just Sony or Switch players, Xbox Live Gold is what puts you online, and generally what it's been for a while is they have a $10 a month entry point or a $60 a year, and then there's regular Game Pass that does, you know, all the features of giving you all the games and having access to all that. That's $10 a month or $120 for the year. But Game Pass Ultimate is kind of the biggest thing that Microsoft has been rolling on. That runs at $15 a month, and it sits at $180 for the year. Now, it's been long saying that that Xbox needs to somehow either roll these all into one, or something needs to start going up in price, because it doesn't really make financial sense of how Game Pass is going to keep adding all this bang for its buck and no price raises happen. So what happened on Friday is that Xbox Live Gold, and this happened at 6 a.m. Pacific time, this was announced that Xbox Live Gold was going to go from $60 from a year to $120, just flat out, no gradual increase in price. It was just going to double pretty much instantly. It got so much backlash from fans and critics and just people in the industry that they were saying that, you know, that by 9 p.m., Xbox already backtracked everything and said, you know what, guys, we're sorry. We didn't understand the customer. We're not going to do that at all. But in addition, they added that all free-to-play games, such as Fortnite, which is a free game to download and play, Xbox Gold locked it behind. You needed that service to still play it online, where companies like PlayStation and Nintendo, they don't have that. If it's a free-to-play game, it was free to play. So that just happened. So let me read this one quick article or one quick quote here, what they said, and then Andrew, I'll get your opinion on it. So the Microsoft statement went as follows. And they said, we messed up today and you were right to let us know. Connecting and playing with friends is a vital part of gaming, and we failed to meet the expectations of players who count on it every day. As a result, we have decided not to change Xbox Live Gold pricing. We're turning this moment into an opportunity to bring Xbox Live more in line with how we see the player at the center of the experience. Free-to-play games, you will no longer need an Xbox Live Gold membership to play those games on Xbox. We are working hard to deliver this change as soon as possible in the coming months. If you are an Xbox Live Gold member already, you stay at your current price for renewal. New and existing members can continue to enjoy Xbox Live Gold for the same prices they pay today. In the US, $9.99 for 1 month, $24.99 for 3 months, and $39.99 for 6 months, and $59.99 for retail 12 months. Thank you. So, a lot to swallow, but the fact that they were going to jump the price raised everybody's eyebrow. So, Andrew, before they even backtracked it, what were you initially thinking when you saw that, going like, the fuck?
Actually, it was really weird because the way they described it, like, kind of, the verbiage was weird. That's where, a lot of people were getting confused by it. Because when it says it, it's actually that it was only new members that are going to have to pay an increase. If I already had Xbox Live at whatever price point, I'm going to continue to stay at that price point unless, of course, I switch it to something else. So pretty much you would be grandfathered in. But so it just kind of didn't make any sense. The only thing I could really think of and what I first thought of when I saw it too, I was like, well, damn, they're jumping it up a lot. But I guess, the value is still there depending on who you talk to. But realistically, more what I was thinking was like, well, it doesn't affect me. I already have Game Pass Ultimate. That's what I've been using, so it doesn't matter. So I was wondering too, like, okay, well, I wonder if this is more, we're going to bump this price in the hopes of just trying to get people on the Game Pass Ultimate. Yeah, that's really what it is, because now that is going to be so much closer that it doesn't make sense for you to not have Game Pass Ultimate. And so I think that was my initial thought. I was like, okay, well, I don't know if they would really double it up for any other reason, especially with another report that just came out saying they already made back their money from that Bethesda acquisition. So it's not like they're hurting for anything. So that would be the only thing I could think of, is to try to push more people towards the Game Pass.
Well, yeah, because there's a difference between what Microsoft makes on the back end from deals to make money that surpassed the ZeniMax deal versus what Xbox makes towards Microsoft. But yeah, it's one of those things where you're looking at it and they clearly want people to move towards Ultimate. That is going to be their kind of sword plunging straight forward, moving into the future versus how Xbox or how Sony or Nintendo tend to do it. And if you look at the $180 price for the Game Pass Ultimate, and if you were to make Xbox Live Gold $120, then yeah, what they're trying to do number base is go, well, then why not just pay for Ultimate? Because Ultimate includes Gold, right? If you have Game Pass Ultimate, then you already have Gold plus all the other features. There's a list that I'll probably show right now that kind of shows the difference between everything that Ultimate has instead of just what Gold offers. But you've got to, a lot of people will say, yeah, you need Game Pass. That's the best bang for its buck. But if you're someone that just plays online games and you only play 3, and you are paying month to month or $60 for the year, and maybe you are in school, then yeah, you don't need any of that other shit.
$120.
And that's what they got to remember. Not everybody uses Game Pass. Does the majority of people, and does that number continue to spike and increase and gather new people in the ecosystem? Yes, but you can't forget about the people that have been day one just using Gold, and the fact that they were just gonna jump it to $120 during the middle of a pandemic when everyone's counting their pennies. You would probably do your best to hold on to the people that are paying for those services, while at the same time make something attractive to new people. $120 price tag for anybody that just wants online is not attractive to anybody. That's bigger than probably most people's bills when it comes to any other streaming services. That's more than your Netflix, your Hulu, and your Amazon and your HBO combined. So I don't know where the mentality was to say, let's jump at 120. That's going to put a smile on people's faces, because all that did was make people go, where's this coming from, right? There was no incentive to do that outside of make your money back and to drive people to Ultimate. And like they said, they kind of recognized the error when they shot themselves in the foot. There are people, they got to make sure they're taking care of the fan, the gamer, and the consumer, that not everybody utilizes that service, which in their eyes is still the best offering.
Yeah, especially because they've been the company that's kind of been leading the way in that, like, okay, well, we're consumer friendly, especially as far as, like, next gen push, as far as, will this game work here and whatever.
Free smart delivery.
Yeah, smart delivery and all that jazz. They've been pretty much that leader, way ahead of everyone else, saying, like, hey, we're going to offer this, we're going to do this for you, we're going to do absolutely everything. You don't have to fucking worry about it. To come out and do something like that was just like, But I do want to note that they did say that free to play was something they were going to announce anyways, and I'm sure they only said it sooner because to get more goodwill off of that, to piggyback on that wave of backlash. So I mean, that's something that I do believe. Obviously, they didn't just be like, oh, people are mad that we're raising the price. Okay, well, let's give them free to play. That had to have been something that they've been working on, trying to like get separated from whatever. So I mean, there is some goodwill there to ride on this backlash. And again, I think that pro will outweigh the con, because again, they took it back. I mean, even Phil Spencer wrote an apology on Twitter, and again, there was all like that same day, like later on,
and all that shit.
So I mean, it is what it is, and realistic. Again, if they raised that price, like, you can bitch and moan, but people are gonna pay it.
But yeah, especially if you're the person that needs it. And like Andrew was saying, is that something that was already in the pipeline of them giving out free stuff? Because a lot of people are saying, the conspiracy was that they set this up and in less than 15 hours, they became the heroes and like, oh, we're not going to do that. And we're actually going to give you free online games. And you can, believe whatever you want to believe about it, but there's still no date. Like they said, we're going to make all these games free that require it. They don't need an Xbox Live Gold membership anymore, but there's no date, and it can't be that hard if Sony and Nintendo already do it to just be like, okay, well, we'll do it by the end of February. Like, how much longer could it take to just make those games happen? It's a very odd thing, because Xbox is known to be, they're the kind of company that are trying to gain as much merit as they can with consumers, to be the friendly company, and that just kind of came out of nowhere to be something that's like $120 overnight. There's got to be something that we're missing here that they thought was going to work and then clearly just didn't, because that backfired in their face. But at least they're smart enough, and you've got guys like Phil Spencer to quickly come out and kind of blanket the fire and be like, hey guys, sorry, we're not going to do that this year. But the fact that they ever had to say this, Xbox was moving in such a good direction. Now they have egg on their face, and they're like, oh, well, we were going to do this and now we're not, and we're going to keep it the same. They didn't lower the price by any means. They just said, we'll keep it the same, which if they never offered it, should have been the same from the beginning, and we're giving you free, instead of just one day going, hey guys, we're going to make this thing free. They would have kept having that good grace instead of now backtracking and trying to recover.
It is very out of touch with like their customer base and almost like tone deaf. Because again, I don't know who would have thought like, okay, people are gonna set 120 and it's not gonna be a big fucking deal. Like whatever, like who cares? Like I don't know what numbers they were looking at that they thought like, oh shit, like all right, here's a shit sandwich, everyone's gonna love it.
Yeah, it just makes no sense. But at least they recognize the error and quickly, because how many other PRs do it with companies where it takes a week, a month, or 6 months?
Mouthpiece answer like, hey, you're getting this sort of value, and we're increasing your value by blah 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 blah, and
they instantly within the same day, by the end of the day, before fucking night's end, they rectified it, and good for them. But it's almost like if we never knew that was even going to happen, the better. And unfortunately, now that's what we're talking about, is some weird thing that Xbox did.
Phil, if you're watching, this one's for you.
This one's for you, brother. Now it's time to rip it up. So, actually, Andrew, I'm going to go first. I'll let you take a quick breather.
You know what? I think I'll let you go first.
Thanks, pal, buddy, friend. So my riff, guys, and it's something I've actually been curious about for a minute, is that Square Enix and Crystal Dynamics actually, we were kind of curious of what was going to be going on with their next big project. Obviously, they're dealing with the Avengers backlash, but a lot of people were kind of wondering what was going on with Tomb Raider. And after number 3, which I actually really liked, the trilogy in its whole, the reboot, it didn't really land for everybody, and I don't think the last one did as good as they thought. But they just came out because Tomb Raider is now about to hit its 25th anniversary, and Crystal Dynamics said that the next game that they're going to be doing is in fact a Tomb Raider game. So that was pretty cool. And one of the weird things it was saying is that they're going to blend the originals with the reboot trilogy somehow, some way. So one of the things that they came out and said was, the next game in the Tomb Raider franchise is in development, but will not be announced in the near future. Square Enix plans to celebrate the series' 25th anniversary all year with retrospectives, nostalgic content, and more, while Crystal Dynamics begins work on Lara Croft's next big adventure. According to franchise game director Will Kerslake, this project will unify the ideas of the original PS1 games with the more recent reboot trilogy. Now, that sounds kind of cool. I'm just, because I like that they're not leaving the old Tomb Raider in the past, and just moving forward with the reboot, that they're kind of, I don't want to say hybriding them, but showing it recognition. I'm just curious of what that exactly means, and why Tomb Raider on its 25th year anniversary is getting an all year party showing up, all these different things. So until we actually see what unrolls, the idea sounds kind of cool, and I'm curious of what they exactly mean, combining the old with the new.
See, I didn't even know they were making a new game. I know they were making they announced they were doing like another show. Isn't it like an anime or something like that on Netflix?
Yeah, they are doing an anime on Netflix, partnered with Legendary, if I'm not mistaken. But
I think that might be kind of cool.
Yeah, that's just one of the many things apparently that they're gonna roll out over the year. But I am just curious of what they're gonna do with the games and how they're gonna meld or at least pay homage to it.
Yeah, especially since I don't know anyone who I don't know anyone who clamors for the original Tomb Raiders. There's people still to this day that are like, fuck me Resident Evil, give me Resident Evil 1, 2, and 3 with the classic fixed angles and the whatever fucking inventory and stuff like that. That's a diehard classic whatever. Give me diehard classic Castlevania. I've never heard anyone say new Tomb Raider sucks, dude. Give me 1, 2, and 3 again, but with updated graphics. Yeah, so I have no clue what that means.
So what do you got, my man?
So mine actually is going to be about the Resident Evil 8 Village showcase. It actually was late last Thursday, so they kind of missed that because that was later in the day. But I'm here to tell you about it. And so check it out, actually. It was actually a pretty cool thing. I think it's only 30 minutes long. They showed off a bunch of the different gameplays. Pretty much how it's going to work. There's another merchant. It's definitely got Resident Evil 4 vibes. It brought back, the inventory system isn't like the old one. It's like Resident Evil 4 where you have an attache case and you're trying to maneuver everything around. But I think more importantly too is everyone's been going crazy over the new woman who's been shown in it, but she's fucking massive. She's 8'2". Her name's Lady Dimitrescu. I believe I can't pronounce it right, but her and her daughters. So everyone's all about that. I actually think she looks like a really cool character.
Yeah, they're all
so
over.
I'm actually after seeing this, I wasn't really hype on Resident Evil before because I was I don't know where this fits in. I feel as much as Resident Evil's kind of gone off the rails, I feel this is really far off the fucking rails that I just kind of don't get it. I'm not vibing it. But after watching this, I'm actually really enjoying it a lot more. That I'm super stoked for this game. They did give it a release date, which is going to be May 7th. And when you purchase this game, as another part of their whole showcase too, it is going to come with a multiplayer version of Resident Evil. It's called RE-verse, so reverse, and pretty much it's some weird death match in different locales from Resident Evil with iconic characters, so you could be Jill, Chris, Claire, Leon, and stuff like that. Cool. And it's someone transforms into Nemesis at one point, so it's almost he's a power-up or something like that. Again, this is going to come with the purchase of the game. It looked kind of cool, and there is a beta for it that you can play if you're part of their fandom thing where you go on their website and log in for it. But I don't know if again, because I don't hear people clamor for Resident Evil Resistance. I felt that game would have been much suited better as a okay, hey, we're gonna give this out for free to play, and then maybe you buy cosmetics and shit. I think this would have been better suited for that as well. But they also put out a demo too, and now this demo is mostly just to show off the engine, the aesthetic, and what they're going for. It's called The Maiden, and so pretty much you start off in a dungeon, you're trying to get your way out of there. That is on PlayStation as we speak, so you can actually get out there and get that. That's the only console that it is on, and they did announce there is going to be another beta. They didn't say what kind, if it's just going to be aesthetics or combat or whatever. That is going to be on more consoles at a later date. So either way, that thing was actually a pretty good little chunk of gameplay. They showed off a lot of shit in there. Definitely go check it out because I'm pretty hype on it, and I'm definitely feeling creepy vibes.
Yeah, I know a lot of people were kind of not loving it. Like, oh, why did this have to be a whole showcase? I like showcases. I mean, some are good, some are bad, but the more the merrier to me, especially if we're not getting big conference events like E3. So
yeah, for sure, this definitely takes a place.
Yeah, because I know
like
Colin and some of those guys were like, oh, this could have been done in a blog. Yeah, maybe, but I like, when you don't have nothing else going on that day, what's 30 minutes,
what does it
what's
matter?
30 minutes out of your day that you can watch something? So yeah, they look pretty fun and exciting. So that is the end of our riffs. So Andrew, let's get into a little, what are you up to? So Andrew, what are you up to?
Right now, I'm actually playing a few different games. Again, the medium, Tom Clancy's Breakpoint, which I think is kind of a mediocre game, which is why I bought it for $8.99. You can too if you have friends to play with. It's fun. More importantly, I actually kind of started Iceborne, the Monster Hunter expansion. It was on another sale, and I kind of sat on it for a while. I beat the first Monster Hunter World, and I'm not the kind of person who like delves super, super deep into stuff that takes like hundreds of hours, because I got so many other things to play. But I'm actually really fucking enjoying this. I'm getting my ass kicked, though, because I definitely don't have like ice or like ready armor, so I got to go back and farm some stuff. But I have already beaten the second person. It's like a Banbaro is what it's... I think that's how it's pronounced. It's like a giant fucking moose. But I'm really enjoying like how different this aesthetic is to everything that was previously in the other one. That it really does feel like it's a whole nother game. Except for I'm just starting off with some decent shit because I already had, my fire dual daggers that are like level 4 grade or whatever. I don't have to start with like a little peon weapon, even though it feels like it, because again, this game does take it to the next step. So if you've been sitting on Iceborne like I have and not pulling the trigger, I definitely would recommend it, because I'm really enjoying it now that I can't wait to like really kind of get in there and get all my different shit going. And they have a special lunar event that's going on right now, and so everything's all like space themed and cosmetic and stuff like that. So I mean, get in there and get it. They have some pretty cool stuff going on.
Nice. We watching anything?
Oh, you know what? Thank you for reminding me. I wrote down Danny Maria. I actually finished The Mandalorian, speaking of space, and I absolutely loved it. I sat on that show for the longest fucking time. But in a way, I'm kind of glad I did, because I didn't have to
binge watch it all.
Yeah, I got to binge watch the whole fucking thing, which just finished here in like December. So that was actually really nice, and that show was badass. And I really, out of everything they've announced coming out of it, like season 3 of Mandalorian and like the fucking Ahsoka show, I'm more excited for the Book of Boba Fett. That was actually the most exciting thing out of it for me.
Nice. So
yourself?
What I've been up to is because I'm trying to read more and more books. So I just finished Ready Player 2, which was fucking awesome.
Saw that.
That book was great. I really liked the ending. I know some people found it controversial. I actually super enjoyed it. But when I started reading that, I was actually in the middle of another series that I put on pause to read it, which was the Summoner Trilogy by Taran Matharu. And I was on book 2, and it's a fucking sick-ass book if you guys are looking for something that's kind of Pokemon mixed with Harry Potter, mixed with Lord of the Rings. It's a really cool series. And I just found out there's a 4th book in that trilogy that's a prequel, so that predates them. So I can't wait to finish reading that. Playing wise, I just beat a game called A Plague Tale Innocence, developed by Asabo Studio, came out in 2019.
On my backlog.
If I fucking knew this game was out in 2019, I would have played it, because it is fucking fantastic. The reason I passed on it for so long is it's got the dumbest fucking image for its cover.
Isn't it like the chick and the kid?
It's just a face and some rats in some of the pictures. So I was actually listening to a different podcast, and they were talking about it. I'm like, you know what? I'll check it out. It's fucking awesome. It's this action stealth horror game. So again, I'm diving more into this horror aspect, set in the 1300s. Yeah, where there's this whole kind of like plague thing happening. These rats are happening, but the heart of this thing is this story. So if you guys, again, have the Game Pass, jump on it. It is amazing. And then I'm still watching Attack on Titan, but I'm week to week now watching my WandaVision on Disney Plus, which I thought I was really going to hate, but I'm actually finding that I really enjoy it, because I am a big fan of like Dick Van Dyke and Bewitched and things like that. And that
it's better than Mandalorian?
Nothing on Disney Plus TV wise current is better than Mandalorian, but it's really fun. So if you're into that kind of thing, go check it out. So I've been having a blast with it, and I'm curious where it's going to go. So we are stretching this episode really long, so we're just going to do one question of the week so far, and we'll do that other one for next week. So question of the week, and then guys, this can be video game, comic book related, alcohol, TV
Anything.
shows, movies, whatever you guys want, pop culture, anything. So the question we have comes from Chris Trejo, and he says, dude, haha, I counted like 9 Seinfeld references, classic. So last episode, Gino was with me. We were dropping Seinfeld references left and right. And he goes, the facility Jerry makes 10. So this guy sits on the back panel all day. What's your favorite episode or maybe favorite scene? Love Seinfeld. Great job. I'm a diehard Seinfeld fan. Andrew's a closet Seinfeld lover. So, Andrew, I'll let you go first because I could pick them out of there. So, what have you been watching? What have I shown you? What have we watched together that sticks out as your favorite Seinfeld moments?
Well, actually, first, I'll do a shameless plug because while I was sick every night before I was going to bed, because I personally don't watch Seinfeld. I've tried watching a few episodes. I'm like, this kind of sucks. But
you like
the more I go into YouTube, like I get the scenes recommended to me all the time. So there's certain scenes that I fucking love because I think they're hilarious. That I feel like I want to love the show is Craigie made a power hour, and so every night when I was sick, I was actually watching that when I was going to bed, even though I had seen some stuff before it. So check that out because it's actually really funny and really good. I could drink to it, and again, I've seen like one full episode front to back.
Nice.
But as far as my favorite scenes, I have 2 that stand out because it's kind of what really got me more into, even today, from when I was sick. I had a whole list of questions I was asking Craig about from like each episode, and I was like, hey, explain this to me or whatever like that, because I thought this was really funny, but I don't get the full concept or what happens later on. But is when George's dad is going to a therapist and he tells him to fucking say serenity now whenever he's stressed, but he just yells it all the time, and so it spills off onto Kramer, and so every time he's got an issue, it's serenity now, until he just like explodes with his rage. And I just think that's the funniest thing that I find myself saying it like all the time too at work when someone's running on, like, all right, serenity now, even though it
Insanity
really
later.
Yeah, but I just think it's hilarious. But also, since we just passed Christmas, a Festivus for the rest of us. That was the first like big Seinfeld clip that I ever saw that I thought was fucking hilarious. I think it's more because of I don't remember Ben Stiller's dad's name.
Jerry Stiller?
Well, it should have been easy to remember that. But I think he's so hilarious as George's dad, and just the way they pull off that fucking crazy holiday, and it's Kramer's like trying to bring it back too because he's one of my favorite people. I just
working at bagels at H&H.
Yeah, I just think it's absolutely hilarious. So that is actually my all-time favorite.
I could not tell you. I plan on making a top 5 with Gino of our favorite like episodes and Seinfeld related things. But 2 things that I would say if anyone is trying to watch some Seinfeld to go check out is the chicken roaster where the big red chicken sign pops up in front of
Isn't it like Ted Nugent or something?
What's that?
Isn't it like Ted Nugent?
Kenny Roger.
Oh, Kenny Roger, yeah. Some fucking guy.
They got chicken places on every block. And Kramer and Jerry, long story short, they have to switch apartments. So Jerry becomes like Kramer, and Kramer becomes like Jerry. It is the best Jerry performance you're ever going to see when he starts sliding it. My friend Bob Sacramento, he called up 3 He got, it's just the best Jerry. So I would say definitely check that out because that's got a big Superman reference. And if you're a fan of Jerry Seinfeld and Seinfeld, you know that Superman's a big influence on him. So that is kind of the alternate sons. The other one I would say is the voice with the hello. And I love that they bring in this guy Darren, who it becomes Kramer's intern, and he just starts navigating through Jerry's apartment.
That's the same episode.
Yeah, and he's just like, "Hey, I'm Darren. I'm new here." He's one of the best characters that I wish stayed in longer. But scene wise, I would say the best scene, one of the best scenes is when Kramer guesses George's code.
I fucking love that.
And he just totally interrogates him and gets all of his. Actually, he just breaks him down.
You're weak. You're spineless.
Yeah. So I could go on for Seinfeld forever, but we're already running a tad long. But excellent question, and if anyone's a Seinfeld fan, please jump down in the comments below and let us know your favorite.
I'm fast
scene.
becoming one.
Yeah. So guys, that is the episode. Make sure that you leave down below the comments, guys. We like to respond to you guys. Make sure that you leave something down below that we can communicate with you and leave your opinions because that's half the fun of giving you ours. So, Andrew, is there anything else you want to add to the kids?
Again, as always, thank you for everything. And if you can, share it because the more we grow, the more we can do and give back to you. We've already been talking about our next contest. Mm-hmm. Maybe within the next few episodes, we'll announce it. We're just kind of ironing out a couple of details. So, again, without you guys, we couldn't do anything. So the more you there are, the more we can do for you. And we appreciate everybody. Thank you.
We appreciate you. So, guys, until next time, my name is Craig Perales. That is Manager Montemare. Cheers.